What is the history of management consulting? Hi everyone, my name is Johannes and welcome to Mastering Consulting. On this channel I share my experiences and learnings from my own journey in management consulting to help you to become successful in management consulting while also living a healthy and balanced life. If you're new to this channel, then please make sure to subscribe, leave a thumb up and ring the bell to not miss any new video that can help you to improve and to be successful in your consulting career. And today we have a great topic. We will talk about the history of management consulting. So during the past years, I tried to learn as much as possible about management consulting because I think the more you know about a certain topic, the better you become at it. And the famous hedge fund manager Ray Dalio often says, if you want to understand the future or the current situation, you need to understand the past. And that's why I also sat down and really tried to understand, okay, where does management consulting come from? Because this answers the question, where does management consulting go into the future? And I identified 5 areas of management consulting that everyone should understand who's interested in consulting. And area number 1, and this was in the late 19th century, this is the era where management consulting really started as a profession. And the main goal back then was to improve efficiency. You can imagine that this was a time where all the first large American corporates really came up. So all of those steel companies, all of those automotive companies like Ford, for example. And the main goal of these companies was to be as efficient as possible because this was usually a low margin business and they tried to run their operations as efficient as possible in order to compete. And that was also where the first management consultants came up. So they worked with those companies and they really tried to improve efficiency by, and that was the new thing, using really scientific methods. So they did some tests, some analysis, and really tried to make data-based decisions. The second era was from the 60s to the 70s, and this is the post-war era, the era of strategy consulting. And back at that time, the war was over and we entered an era of globalization. So especially the American companies, they expanded into various different markets. That's a time where many strategy consultancies entered the market or at least became larger and more important. Because as you can imagine, as American companies entered different markets, strategy played a more and more important role. So the question of which kind of market I should enter with what kind of strategy was really at the core of the business success back then. So those strategy consultancies like McKinsey, BCG, Bain, or in Germany, Roland Berger, they really helped those companies to make the right strategic move and to be more competitive. The third era was from the 80s until the 90s, and this was the era of operation and IT consulting. So at that time, large corporates became larger and larger and obviously much more complex. So in order to stay competitive, they again had to improve efficiency. So that meant that they had to put a very strong focus on their operations and also, since technology and IT played a much more important role, to have a strong focus on the IT infrastructure. So that was a time where the IT consultancies like Accenture, but also the big 4 accounting firms like Ernst & Young, PwC and so on, played a much bigger role in the consulting market because they really developed an expertise for those operational efficiencies. And since they usually have some lower rates than strategy consultants do, they were also more competitive and were able to sell larger projects to the client. The fourth era was the era of specialization in the consulting market. And in order to compete, companies really had to become excellent in various different fields. And this was a time where terms like finance excellence, marketing excellence, etc. came up. And this basically means that not only the large strategy or maybe the main processes play a big role in staying competitive and efficient, but rather that each department for itself has to do the best possible job in order to compete. And this was also the playground for many of those specialized companies who have a strong focus, for example, in the controlling world, or maybe in the marketing world, or maybe in the HR world, okay? And this obviously left a lot of room for many new companies who developed a certain expertise and became very competitive. And the fifth era, and this is the era where we are now, and this is an era that I call the era of transformation. First of all, we have technology. So technology like AI, and also the possibility to analyze and to make use of large amounts of data, has a huge impact on how consultancies actually operate. Also, COVID will have a huge impact on consulting, because working from home and working with the distance also obviously impacts how projects work together with the client. A third factor that will probably impact the consulting industry is the factor of sustainability, because the way consultancies worked in the past, like flying around with large teams to do projects with the client on the side, is not valid anymore in the age of sustainability. So as you see, there are many different factors that will have an impact on the consulting industry. So what will consulting look like in the future? That's probably a topic for another video, but of course I'm interested what you think, what consulting would look like or how it will change within the next years, so please leave a comment below. So if this video brought value to you, then please make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a thumb up, and also hit the bell to not miss any new video that will help you to become successful in management consulting. With that being said, I hope you have a very successful day and hope to see you soon. Goodbye, Johannes.